Well, hello, College Church. This morning, the Eldership presented a letter this morning that they wanted to read to the congregation on some current issues. And during that time, we had a glitch in interruption with our live broadcast. And it was just about as soon as Jeff Morgan had introduced Roy, which is with me here today. And Roy got up there to start to read it, and we missed probably pretty much the introduction of it. So we decided that this was such an important message that the elders and the leaders at College Church had worked so diligently on, with so many others as well, that we wanted to re-record this so that you could hear this message in its entirety. So let me introduce to you Roy Barnes, who is our current chairman of the elders, and he is representing the College Church of Christ eldership today by reading this. Roy?
Thank you, Nick. And again, we apologize for a technical glitch, but it's nice that we have technology to re-record this. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that we said this morning, normally when a letter of this importance is read to an entire congregation, all 42 elders would be up on the stage in support of this letter as it was read. And at this time, it was not feasible because of the virus. Mm-hmm. So just know that all 42 elders are behind this letter, and a lot of work went into this. And know that we had input from our own brothers and sisters. Let me repeat that. Our own brothers and sisters that are hurting provided input to the elders as we wrote this letter. This letter's not perfect. It is a bunch of humans trying to say a message that needs to be out in front. But it is a good first step to help ease the pain of our own that are hurting. So I'll read the letter now. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. We are living in a time to mourn, and a time to comfort those who mourn. The elders and many others have prayed for wisdom and sought counseling concerning the best way to console and encourage our African American brothers and sisters who are suffering anxiety and pain during these difficult days. We read this letter to affirm our love and our appreciation for all members of our church family, regardless of their skin color, and to assure each one of our spiritual and moral support. Each morning we awaken wondering, what could be worse? The answer to that question can be found in the real-life story of Jesus, the Son of God, who lived on this earth in what seemed like the worst of times. He dealt with the political unrest of Roman occupation. He experienced the ethnic division between Samaritans and Jews. He confronted disparity within the religious community. He endured rejection by those who misunderstood him. He suffered abuse that he did not deserve, and yet despite of the volatile environment, his influence infused hope into a desperate world. He is the way, the truth, and the life. It was Jesus who showed us how to share a meal with our neighbors who do not share the same color of skin. It was Jesus who worked with his hands in the summer heat to prove we all sweat the same. It was Jesus who listened to those who could barely make themselves heard above the noise of the crowds. It was Jesus, the teacher, who was willing to challenge his culture and confront the unthinkable. Jesus, the Son of God, chose not to exercise his divine privilege, but instead he extended to everyone the opportunity to become part of his family. John, the disciple whom Jesus loved, told us in 1 John 4:20, if anyone says, I love God, yet hates his brother, he is a liar. In this season of hurt and heartache, we cannot think of a better time to love God and to prove it by loving those who have known the worst of times. This is the biblical foundation on which we stand. Now, what does it mean for us today? Racial tensions have given rise to protests in our country and around the world. Fear and uncertainty can be seen in the eyes of many of our African American brothers and sisters and other members of color. The lives of many of our members and others of our fellowship in Searcy have been shaken by recent events. The death of Breonna Taylor and others evokes emotions and memories of the loss of our own brother, Botham Jean. Everyday activities like going for a walk, driving to the store, allowing our children to play outside, it takes on a new level of concern. To our African American brothers and sisters, we see you are hurting, and we hurt with you. We see you are disappointed, and we share that disappointment. To all the members of the congregation, let us reach out at this time and assure our brothers and sisters of color that they are seen and loved. Let us each resolve not just to speak words of reconciliation and support, but to act on these words. Let us be intentional about overcoming any perceived barriers of race by listening closely and empathizing with all who are burdened with anxiety and sorrows. Let us seek opportunities to converse and fellowship socially beyond the walls of a church building. Let us teach and exhort our children to be kind and considerate of all human beings, just as Jesus was when he said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden." As God's people in this place, we must stand firm on the principle that God clearly teaches through his word, that we are equally and profoundly loved as his children. We are of equal value in his sight, and we are joint heirs of his promises for this life and for our eternal life to come. We look forward to that day when all of us will be united as part of that great multitude that no one can number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages. And we will stand together before the throne and before the Lamb to praise our Father and Jesus Christ, his Son. It is the combined prayer of your shepherds that God will give each of us the strength to have unity of spirit, sympathy, love of the brethren, a tender heart, and a humble mind. The ties that bind us together are stronger than those of race, culture, politics, or any other temporary or worldly concern. We are God's family. The Elders, College Church of Christ, Searcy, Arkansas.
Roy, thank you for reading that. And I know as you're hearing this and as you see in Roy, it does evoke emotions. And it is something because we're hurting for our brothers and sisters. And we just want you to know that we hear you and that we feel you and that we are acknowledging that and are willing to start healing with you along beside you. Roy, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the members at College Church and the ministry staff as well, to the eldership for the hard work that's been put in for this.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you for leading us in this way. Thank you for each and every person who was involved in helping shape this statement. And like Roy said, there were many of our brothers and sisters who were involved in doing this. And we just want to say thank you to that. Roy, do you have anything to close out with?
No, just a wonderful day, and thank you again. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.